All right, guys, so we typically don't do videos like this, but what happened to Neo last weekend, I'll tell the whole story of exactly how it happened. We'll go into a deep story because I posted on other social medias a shorter version, but I'm gonna tell you the full story of what happened right now. So Saturday, September 27th, we started out the day as a normal day, literally went bike riding outside, we went for a power walk, we watched movies, I baked cookies with Neo, we were having a typical day. And then out of nowhere around 1 p.m., he took off his cochlears, which he never does, and starts scratching it like crazy, like it was really itchy. And then within like 5 to 10 minutes, it swelled up like a balloon in his head. So Crystal was telling me, like, she was panicking about it.
Nico had just sat down to like eat his food, and I looked at him and I was like, we need to go right now, because within a short period of time, it just swelled up. And this is the part where I think for me it became really scary, because it is a foreign object inside of your body. And although we've never had any issues, and we've been very fortunate with Neo's implant that we had never had any complications, we knew that their chance of this happening later on was a possibility. But no one ever told us, and we also never asked like what that would look like or what this could mean. And
how fast it progressed also. Once we saw that, we got up, rushed to the hospital, to the ER. We went basically to the closest emergency room we found, which was Methodist Hospital. And then we noticed right then and there how little knowledge regular nurses and everything like that have. Unless you're a specialist in cochlear implants, really you're not that knowledgeable on it, because there's really not that much research anywhere. So a lot of one of the nurses was just saying like, oh, it's fine, it's just an infection, like you guys could go home. And we're like, no, you can't go home. We can't go home, because like we know everything that they told us about how dangerous this could be and how life-threatening this is, that we weren't gonna leave. We made it known that we're not leaving.
So they did a CT scan and they did an ultrasound. And while we were waiting for that to be done, his blood work came back, and that was the first set of bad news that we got.
Yeah, that was the first sign that he had an infection, because when you have an infection, your white blood cells are elevated. So that's what they saw basically on the blood results right away, that his white blood cells were high. So they confirmed that he does have some kind of infection, which made us panic instantly.
Yeah, because the swelling was still getting bigger. What made it really hard at that point was having to call our family to let them know what was going on, because the doctor had basically told us that if it was a localized infection, meaning the infection is coming from where the cochlear implant is, and mind you, this is where the lack of knowledge like really came into play. She's like, oh, we would just have to potentially go into an emergency surgery. At that point, I'm like, we're at the wrong place. Like if that is going to happen, they don't have an ENT on call.
They don't have any specialists with cochlear implants. So that made us scared, because they're like, oh yeah, any ENT is basically trained in that. I'm like, no. Like, it's like such a specialized surgery. Like you have to be so careful, because it's such a small area, and you could really mess everything up. Either Neo could lose his hearing, he could get face paralysis with any wrong move. It's all by millimeters, because all these facial nerves are in there. That made us really panic, because they're making us think that we might have to have surgery, and I'm like, there's not even a good surgeon here, so I don't even know what we're gonna do. So then we got transferred to a different hospital that had more knowledge on kids with cochlear implants. So we got transferred there in an ambulance, which Neo thought that was like the upside to Neo's day. He thought that part was really cool. So we went in the ambulance, got to the other hospital, where then we met another ENT.
When we got the results back, in the ultrasound, they confirmed that there was fluid around where the receiver is. And so that was really concerning to me, because I had a lot of questions like, where is the liquid coming from? Like, where is it gonna go? Is it because there is an infection, but where exactly in the layers of his skin? Like, I needed to know more answers, and whether the antibiotics that they were providing him were gonna be enough to stop the infection from spreading.
Eventually, when we transferred to the other hospital, they had an ENT that had a lot of knowledge on cochlear implants. He was not a specialist on cochlear implants, but he had a lot of knowledge. And he said that this is the antibiotic. The one were giving us is the one that basically
all ENTs
would prescribe.
He really reassured us that infection was on the outer part of like his brain. So that's what made me feel like more at peace, because I know the type of infection that he had can spread really quickly. And so my biggest fear was like, how far is that away from the brain? Is this something that can be controlled, or that once he's off the antibiotics that it's going to give us more issues? Because at some point on Saturday night, one of the nurses told me that we should not feed Neo after midnight because there could be a potential need for him to go into emergency surgery if the swelling didn't go down, and they might need to drain out his ear. I mean, it was...
They were gonna have to remove his cochlear implant and everything, which is such a stressful situation. Something very important that I want to say is that if you do have a child with cochlear implants or any disability and you don't feel comfortable with what they're saying, or you know that they don't have the knowledge that you have on certain things, like, you need to speak up.
And I really appreciated that at the children's hospital, the staff was more respectful to that, and was more understanding and more validating, because it kind of felt like we were like fighting to get Neo the proper health. Like, all we were really truly asking for is for an expert with experience with cochlear implants to go over the CT scan to reassure us that the infection was not spreading.
So eventually, after we saw that ENT and it made us feel a lot comfortable, we already had spent the night there. So it was now Sunday, the 28th of September, and we saw the ENT again. He came and did an ultrasound. He checked the CT scan. He basically, like Crystal said, reassured us that everything is okay and that the antibiotics are working because his swelling was going down. So now we have to give him that antibiotic for 7 days. On Monday, we followed up with a specialist on cochlear implants to see how this could have happened, what happened, which the thing that's scary is, even for the professional, it's a very unknown how this happened. He can't tell us exactly how this happened or why this happened or anything.
It's not something that we could prevent.
Yeah, you can't prevent it. It could just happen at any time. But what he did say is, luckily, it's going down. Then he has, the infection's being treated, stay on the antibiotics. But what he did tell us, and right now, Neo is only allowed to wear his left cochlear implant because it happened to his right side. He told us to keep Neo off the cochlear implant for 7 days, and then in 7 days, we have to slowly reintroduce the cochlear implant back to him. The only downside to that is Neo's brain is gonna automatically adjust to having just one ear on. So he's gonna be a little bit more off balance, harder for him to listen, harder for him to understand.
So to try to combat that, we're working with his school to try to, we asked him, okay, can you help us figure out the best thing to do for him while he's only on one ear? And so we're going to be using the mini mic more so that he can have direct access to our voices, so that way he's not struggling as much to hear. Already his teachers are aware, and so they're working in class with him and making sure that when they're speaking to him, they're speaking to him on his left side so that he can have the best access that he possibly can. Not that it's going to delay his progress, but it is a bump on the road that it's going to make it a little more challenging for Neo, because he has been making so much progress, and I feel like this is one of those things that obviously we're doing the very best thing that we can, but it does make it harder for him. He already works so hard.
As a mom, it affected you differently than it did for me, because I'm very when I'm in a stressful situation, I'm very able to focus on what we need to do. But I feel like you, it really, really affected you even when we were in that panic situation.
Yeah.
And I want to know, because you haven't told me exactly how you were feeling.
I haven't even talked to you about it.
Yeah.
I feel like I had never felt guilty in our choice to implant Neo until that. And that really hit me hard. It really, really, I've never talked about it openly to really anybody other than my therapist probably. But when we first chose to get Neo implanted, there was a lot of hate and a lot of horrible things that were said to me that I thought I had processed, and I thought that never affected me. But I think that in that moment when I'm kind of being pulled in many different directions, you can't help but think to those terrible things that everyone said, and feeling a sense of guilt for making a choice that, even till now, I still firmly believe that we have always, in every step of the way of Neo's journey, have done the next best thing for him. So I think it was very normal for me to feel responsible for him being in the situation, because I was like, well, if we had never implanted him, then we wouldn't be here. But then again, there's been so many beautiful moments, and there's been so much hope there's been
so much good that's come from it.
And it like kind of taught me in that moment, and I guess what I took away from it, how important it is to always be grounded in your beliefs, and in, I guess, like, as a person, like, I know that our intentions and as a family, like, have always been with like Neo's best interests and the best interests of our family. And so I didn't want to take away from it, but also I didn't want to like shy away from the mental toll that it for sure, like, it brought me back to like when we were first like going through the process of like deciding whether we wanted to go through this process or not. And I still wouldn't change my mind. I still would go through it, because I feel like many parents have made this choice also, and I want to be vulnerable through every part of it. I've always been honest about Neo's journey, and this part has always been the most vulnerable for me. It's something that I'm gonna have to process, and that I'm gonna have to, because I really haven't talked to anybody about that, and that's definitely what is affecting me the most, because Abella was with us also. And when I pulled up to the second hospital, Abella asked me if Neo could die from this. And I had never thought about, any of that. And that was really scary. And then it was also really scary for Abella too. So it was a very difficult situation.
It made you feel in that moment, because that's how it made me feel, like in that moment, very selfish for making that decision to get the cochlear implants. But I feel like so much has come good from it, and we've also helped so many people through it. And we know that he was going to live a better life in our particular situation with the cochlear implants.
I would have been more upset if we had the chance to give him the opportunity to hear, and we would have denied it. And I will always stand by that. And I hope that when Neo is older, that he knows that every decision that we made for him came from a place of love.
And I'm happy that we did it at the time that we did it, because we get a lot of comments, but like obviously the comments of the people don't know the full how it works. But if you don't get cochlear implants early in your life, like early in your brain development, it is so hard to nearly impossible later on. If you get cochlear implants when you're 11, 12, it's going to be so hard for you to develop that good speech and language.
It's not impossible, but it's very difficult,
it's very,
because
very,
your
it's
brain
way more
has
work.
learned, and there's a whole scientific explanation. But I guess to your point is, we know that we made the best decision when we had the opportunity to do so, and that's why we share our journey, because not one hearing loss journey is the same. Everyone is different, but I believe that you can always learn from one another. And if you're ever in a similar situation, and know that you have the right to advocate for your child, and know that you're never going to be too safe, especially when it comes to the health of your littles. You're never going to.
And you can never ask too many questions.
No, I asked so many questions.
We asked a million questions on repeat.
I probably asked the same question like 100 times, but I just wanted to feel reassured and to know that everything was going to be okay. And I know everything is going to be okay. It's going to be new for him.
Yeah.
And for us.
So we wanted to share this story with you, for this whirlwind of story of week we went through, to hopefully help, even if we help one person out there. Like that's what we do this for. So that is it for today, Camp Fam. We will see you real soon, and thanks for all your hopes and wishes and prayers for Neo. We really appreciate you.